Let's listen to James Pochury, the Senior Campaigner, Asia Program for Climate Change, and General Secretary of the Global Naga Forum. And let's listen on how the war against the people, war against indigenous peoples and rural communities impacts the life and the rights of indigenous peoples in the Northeast. James? I think you're on mute.
Sorry.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you very much. The impact of India and Burma's military propaganda and cultural war against Naga indigenous people's right of self-determination is my topic. Thank you for this opportunity and revolutionary salute to the distinguished network members of the International Coordination Network. The Global Naga Forum stand in solidarity with oppressed and dispossessed indigenous peoples around the world as we seek the same for the Naga struggle against extermination and assimilation by India and Burma. On 4th and 5th December 2021, 14 innocent Naga civilians were murdered in Oting and Mon in Nagaland. No Indian armed personnel have been criminally prosecuted for these or any of the thousands of Naga civilians murdered. For the government of India and the Indian Army, the Northeast has become a theater of war to practice on live human beings. A full military campaign against the Nagas started in 1954. It did not accomplish the intended goal, so the central government went to the parliament and had the Extrajudicial Armed Forces Special Powers Act passed in 1958. The AFSPA was renewed on 1st April 2022 in the Naga areas of Arunachal Pradesh. On this very day, the 12th Para Special Commando Force willfully shot 2 Chasa villagers who were coming back to their village after a day of fishing. A week before, on 21st March 2022, the 6th Assam Rifles went to Kolagaon village and Reto Kakho in Arunachal Pradesh and shot and killed a former village leader in front of his villagers and family members. The Nagas were determined to be free of Indian control, and to do so, Nagas raised a resistance force to defend their homeland. On the Indian side, under cover of AFSPA, the army tortured and murdered Nagas with complete impunity. The Naga Chronicle and the International Work Group for Indigenous Affairs, IWGIA, described the ways the Indian army terrorized the people, including 1. Execution in public, mass raping, deforming sex organs, mutilating limbs, electric shocks, puncturing eyes, hanging people upside down, locking people in smoke-filled rooms, burning villages and granaries, forced starvation and labor. To this day, the draconian extrajudicial laws have not been repealed. AFSPA was extended in Nagaland again in December 2021, despite decades-old demand for repeal of the act. The Naga areas in India continue to be heavily militarized zones. There are currently 183 Indian military camps, 3 army divisions, 9 brigades, 37 battalions, 129 outposts, 7 transit camps, and 1 corps. In the Naga areas of Manipur state, the Assam Rifles stands at about 65,000 Indian soldiers. 3 major weapons in the Indian government's unrelenting campaign against the Naga people's movement for self-determination include: first, military force to crush the movement starting in 1953. But since they could not do that, the following year, in 1958, the Armed Forces Special Powers Act was passed. After more than 6 decades, the Indian Armed Forces have mostly completed the job, yet the AFSPA remains in place and the Naga homeland continues to be increasingly militarized. The second item in the Indian government's anti-Naga self-determination campaign has been the Intelligence Bureau. Its role has been to create divisions among the Nagas every which way. With the government of India in tow, with a free cash flow to corrupt and change Naga traditional values and indigenous governance. This mission of dividing and corrupting the Nagas has been accomplished with remarkable success for India, but irreparable harm to the Naga society. What remains in the 21st century then is the third anti-Naga weapon being wielded by the government of India, bringing Naga society in alignment with Hindu India. This project is being conducted passionately by the BJP government at the center. The Hindi Hindu-centric national education in Nagaland and the whole of the Northeast is the goal. And the latest diktat from Delhi making Hindi compulsory in the region is an intentional step in that direction. The region is remarkably rich in language and cultures, with 101 distinct and indigenous peoples, scheduled tribes, and 114 indigenous languages. So these are the three ways in which the government of India is trying to sabotage all that Mr. Anthony De Burma has mentioned. All these being done for one and only one goal, that is to expropriate the natural resources to at the expense of the people, the culture, the biodiversity, the cultural biodiversity, and all that we mean by indigenous peoples. So this is a very long-awaited campaign launch, international campaign launch, and we look forward to a more focused campaign so that we have a clear goal of what we want to achieve in a time-bound manner. And with hard work, we can confidently march ahead together by supporting each other. We need each other more than ever. Thank you.
Thank you so much, James.